The fluorescent lights above my hospital bed flickered like they could not decide whether to stay on. I stared at the white ceiling, remembering her voice. "You will die, broke and alone," Lauren had laughed when she said it. Standing in that courthouse hallway, I believed every word. I had nothing left. No home, no money, no reason to keep going. But life has a strange way of rewriting endings. 3 men in suits walked through that hospital door and changed everything. Before I share what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching from today. Drop your city or country in the comments below. If stories about unexpected second chances speak to your heart, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to join this community. Now let me take you back to where this all began, to the day I thought I had found my forever. I grew up on the outskirts of Phoenix, Arizona, in a small 2-bedroom house with peeling paint and a front yard that was more dirt than grass. It was just my mother and me against the world. She worked 2 jobs to keep food on the table and a roof over our heads. Mornings, she cleaned offices downtown. Evenings, she waited tables at a diner off the interstate. I learned early what sacrifice looked like. It looked like my mother falling asleep at the kitchen table with her shoes still on. She never talked about my father. Whenever I asked, she would get this faraway look in her eyes and say the same thing. He was not ready to be a father, Christian. But that is okay. We have each other. I stopped asking eventually. Some questions only bring pain. When I was 25, cancer took her from me, pancreatic. By the time they found it, there was nothing anyone could do. I held her hand in that hospice room as she took her last breath. Her final words to me were simple. "Promise me you will never give up, no matter what happens. Promise me." I promised. After she passed, I threw myself into work. I had studied accounting in community college, and I landed a decent job at a logistics company in Phoenix. The work was not glamorous, but it was steady. I saved every dollar I could. By 31, I had about $40,000 in the bank. Not rich by any means, but enough to feel like I was building something. What I wanted more than money was connection. I wanted a family, the kind I never had growing up. Someone to come home to. Someone who would stay. Then I met Lauren. It was a Tuesday afternoon at a coffee shop downtown. I had stopped in for my usual black coffee before heading back to the office. She was behind the counter, 28 years old, with wavy brown hair, and a smile that made me forget what I had ordered. When she handed me my cup, her fingers brushed mine. "You have sad eyes," she said, "but kind. I like that." No one had ever said anything like that to me before. I stood there like an idiot, my coffee getting cold in my hand, trying to think of something clever to say. Nothing came. She laughed, but it was warm, not mocking. "I get off at 6, she said. In case you were wondering, I was back at 5:45. Those first 3 months felt like a dream I did not want to wake up from. Lauren listened to me in a way no one else ever had. I told her about my mother, about the lonely childhood, about the promise I made at her deathbed. Lauren cried when I shared those stories. She held my face in her hands and said words I had been waiting my whole life to hear. "I will never leave you alone, Christian. Never." She told me her own story too. A difficult childhood, a mother she no longer spoke to, a string of bad relationships with men who did not appreciate her. She said I was different. She said I made her feel safe. My best friend Derek was more cautious. We had known each other since high school. He was the only one who showed up to my mother's funeral besides me. One night, after I introduced him to Lauren, he pulled me aside. "She asks a lot of questions about money, man. Your savings, your salary. Just be careful." I brushed it off. "She just wants to plan for our future. Nothing wrong with that." Derek did not push it. He knew I was already gone. After 8 months of dating, I proposed. I spent nearly $3,000 on the ring, almost all of my year-end bonus. When I got down on one knee, in her tiny apartment, Lauren started crying immediately. "Yes," she said. "Yes, yes, yes." But later that night, as we lay in bed, she held up her hand and looked at the ring under the lamplight. "Is this the biggest one they had?" I told myself she was joking. Our wedding was in Sedona. Lauren wanted something beautiful, something she could show off to her friends on social media. I agreed to everything. The venue, the flowers, the photographer. By the time we said our vows, I had spent $15,000 from my savings. But standing there, watching her walk down the aisle, I would have spent every penny I had. Her mother did not come. When I asked why, Lauren just shrugged. "We do not talk anymore. It is complicated." I did not press. Everyone has family wounds. That first year of marriage, I was the happiest I had ever been. I got promoted to senior accountant. My salary increased. I bought us a little 3-bedroom house with a mortgage I could manage. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. Our first real home together. Lauren quit her job at the coffee shop. She said she wanted to find something better, something that matched her potential. I supported her completely. Take your time, I told her. I have got us covered. I opened a joint bank account and gave her full access. I trusted her with everything. In the evenings I would come home exhausted and find her on the couch scrolling through her phone. She would barely look up when I walked in. But I told myself she was just adjusting. Marriage takes time. We were still figuring things out. One night, about a year in, I looked at her across the dinner table. She was picking at her food, distracted as usual. But in that moment, I felt complete. "This is everything I ever wanted," I said. She smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. I should have paid closer attention. The second year of our marriage is when the cracks became impossible to ignore. It started small. Lauren began complaining about the house. "It is so cramped in here," she would say, even though we had 3 bedrooms for just the 2 of us. Jessica's husband just bought them a house with a pool. "Why can we not have nice things?" I tried to explain that we needed to be responsible. The mortgage was already stretching our budget. But every conversation about money ended the same way. "You never want me to be happy," she would say, her voice sharp as broken glass. "I gave up everything for you, and this is how you repay me." I did not understand what she had given up. She had not worked in over a year. But I kept those thoughts to myself. I did not want to fight. To make her happy, I started taking on freelance accounting work. After my regular 9-hour shifts at the office, I would come home and work another 3 or 4 hours on other people's taxes and bookkeeping. 60-hour weeks became normal. Then, 70. My body started to protest. I lost 10 pounds I did not have to lose. Headaches became my constant companion. Some nights I would lie in bed, unable to sleep, my mind racing with spreadsheets and deadlines, and the growing sense that no matter how hard I worked, it was never enough. Lauren barely noticed. She had stopped asking how my day was. When I came home, she was usually in the guest bedroom with the door closed. "You snore too loud," she explained. "I need my rest." The distance between us grew wider every day. I would try to talk to her, to reconnect, to understand what had gone wrong. But she always had somewhere else to be, something else to do. "I am busy, Christian." Then she would go back to her phone, typing messages to people I did not know. I felt lonelier in my own home than I had ever felt living by myself. The truth arrived on a Thursday evening. I had left work early because a migraine was making my vision blur. I just wanted to lie down in a dark room. When I pulled into our driveway, there was another car there. A black Porsche. Brand new from the looks of it. I did not recognize it. I walked inside, and the house was quiet. Too quiet. Then I heard something from upstairs. Laughter. A man's voice. My feet carried me up those stairs like they belonged to someone else. Each step felt like walking through water. I knew what I was going to find before I found it. The bedroom door was open. Lauren was there, and so was a man I had never seen before. He was older, maybe 50, with gray hair and a gold watch that caught the light. They were not being subtle about what they had been doing. Lauren saw me standing in the doorway. She did not scream. She did not apologize. She did not even have the decency to look ashamed. "You are home early," she said, like I had interrupted her watching television. I could not speak. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. The man Richard got dressed without saying a word. He dropped $500 on the nightstand, like he was paying a tab. Then he walked right past me, without making eye contact. Lauren sat on the edge of the bed, perfectly calm. How long I finally managed. 6 months. She did not hesitate. "He gives me things you cannot, Christian. Things I deserve. I gave you everything I had." She laughed then. Actually laughed. "Everything you had was never enough." I felt my knees buckle. I grabbed the doorframe to keep from falling. "Did you ever love me?" I asked. Lauren looked at me for a long moment. Her eyes were cold, like she was looking at a stranger asking for spare change. "I loved what you could give me," she said. "But you ran out of things to give." I sank to the floor and cried. I could not remember the last time I had cried in front of another person. Maybe when my mother died. Lauren stepped over me on her way to the bathroom like I was not even there. 2 days later, she filed for divorce. She had a lawyer before I even understood what was happening. A good one. Expensive. The kind of lawyer who knows how to destroy people in court. I could only afford a kid fresh out of law school who seemed as lost as I was. Lauren put on quite a performance for the judge. She cried about how I neglected her emotionally. How I was always working. How I controlled all the finances and gave her no independence. The truth, of course, was the opposite. I had given her everything. Full access to our accounts, complete trust, and she had spent us into the ground. But none of that mattered. The judge saw a crying woman and a tired man who could barely afford to defend himself. Lauren got the house. She got the car. She got alimony. I got nothing but debt and a suitcase of clothes. After the final hearing, I was walking down the courthouse hallway when I heard her heels clicking behind me. "Christian," she called. I stopped. I should not have, but I did. She walked up close enough that I could smell her perfume, the same perfume I had bought her for our first anniversary. "I told you," she said, smiling. "You will die, broke and alone, just like your mother." Then she walked out the front doors, climbed into Richard's Porsche, and drove away. I stood there until a security guard asked if I was okay. I was not okay. The next 3 months were the darkest of my life. I could not focus at work. I made mistakes. Big ones. A decimal point in the wrong place cost my company thousands of dollars. They let me go. Without a job, I could not afford my apartment. The landlord gave me 2 weeks to clear out. I sold everything I owned that had any value. It was not much. Derek saved me from sleeping on the street. He let me stay in his garage. It was cold at night and smelled like motor oil, but it was better than nothing. He did not ask questions. He just handed me a blanket and said, "Stay as long as you need, brother." But even his kindness could not stop the fall. I stopped eating properly. Lost another 20 pounds. The man in the mirror looked like a ghost. My stomach hurt constantly, but I had no money for doctors, no insurance, no nothing. One night the pain became unbearable. I tried to stand up and the world went sideways. I hit the concrete floor hard. Derek found me unconscious when he came home from work.